being realistic, which was why I started this channel to begin with, was to be, totally honest and realistic. And part of that is I knew before I even left my last job that there was a good chance. I mean, I hadn't given up on anything. I just knew there was a good chance that it would be a downward spiral, especially knowing, what's coming down the pike with the economy. And everything there's been no surprises. I mean, it's pretty much like I figured it would be. I wanted to compare this recession with the one in 84. It started somewhere around 83, 84. At that time I was doing maintenance in a nursing home, and a secretary's position came open, and there was between 40 and 50 applicants immediately for that job that paid $5 an hour. That wasn't unusual at all. What was unusual was that over half of those applicants had master's degrees in business. That is what makes a market like this hideously difficult to compete in. And then I'm behind the 8 ball on the age factor. As a matter of fact, I had just graduated with my business degree in 85, and you were literally untouchable if you had a business degree. There were so many people with bachelor's degrees in business and MBAs. It had no, and I'm talking no, marketable value for an MBA. Well, there might have been a little bit more for an MBA, but if you had a bachelor's in business, you may as well have went to trade school. In fact, if I had it to do all over again, I probably would have went into service. But nevertheless, that is the same scenario that we're running into this time, only much worse. And I say much worse because if that same secretary's job was to open today for, say, $10 an hour, I dare say there would probably be 1,000 applicants for that job, and who knows how many of them would have higher degrees of education. So when you couple that with being unmarketable age-wise and health-wise, you can see why it's better to not to be naive and just think you're going to pick up where you left off. So what I'm saying is, whatever job that I do finally get, I'm going to aim for what I had or higher. But I'm also realistic. There were people from the Enron debacle way high up, corporate vice presidents. I remember one of them he had lost in that fiasco. He had lost all of his several $1 million in retirement, had absolutely no retirement, and he was within just a few months of retiring. He had to go to work at Walmart and be a door greeter. Now, not everybody falls into that, but you'll be amazed at how many do. And Lord willing, I won't. It's honest work. I'm not saying anything bad about Walmart greeters. I'm saying look for a drastic decline in your standard of living, and that's what the point I wanted to make in the previous video with the health problems is that the quality of life drops drastically. I mean, yeah, if you have something that you're dealing with that, you just got to suffer because you have either no insurance or inadequate insurance, what happens is that you live in misery. Not just economic misery. I mean pain and misery. So as this unfolds, not just for me, but for my God, it's going to end up being in the millions of people that you keep hearing all this about the middle class disappearing until it just becomes a cliche. Well, what's happening to me is that effect. And going from middle class to, well, I don't know where it'll end up. I'm going to do everything humanly possible to see to it that it doesn't end up in poverty. And there will come a time, as things get worse and worse and worse, that I'll have to give up my internet, and of course I'll announce that when that happens, that it's the end of the road for that. But this is a microcosm of what's happening to us as a nation, with all the offshoring, the outsourcing, and I can only see it getting worse when the megalithic corporations have no allegiance to anything but themselves. This is going to be rampant. It's going to be rampant. And also, I was going to say, another thing was that probably within a week, I will have breached the second of my 4 safety nets. But it's by design, because I'm going to pay. I will be a year ahead on homeowners insurance, and I'm many months ahead now on the mortgage itself, but I want it to be a year ahead, and then the taxes as well. So see, that's a safety net that I'm willing to bite the bullet on now, to give myself that year, that even if everything else gets disconnected and taken away, I'll still at least have a roof over my head for a year. So a lot can happen in a year. So, but we'll just have to see how far it spirals downward. Like I said, I'm going to do everything humanly possible to strive for higher ground. But what do you do when there's, this number I keep hearing is 95 million people are out of workforce. 95 million out of 320 million? You think that's going to send a shockwave through the unemployment community? Oh my gosh. And we haven't even begun to really and truly unravel yet. I mean, it's only at the tip of the iceberg is what we're seeing now. I don't know how bad it'll end up getting. The biggest number we can comprehend is 1. So you have to deal with what you have to deal with, and there's not a lot more that you can deal with other than that. And live by the golden rule. Live by the Bible, but I mean, even non-Christians can live by the golden rule. So we'll see what happens from here.